base in life, sthira bhumi of chitta, becomes dysfunctional. When these pranas do not and then becomes dysfunctional, that brings about a death. And with the death of our, uh, automatically the organs, nothing can function, that we all know. So I think chitta moves the it was static principle. If chitta is guided by static principle, which is natural, in that case, the prana may move, that it might turn into passivity. So I think mutative principle is predominant on some of our motor organs, and sentient principle is predominant is on our sensory organs. But I think we have to, as we saw, Baba has very clearly given us, we have to see how to juggle them, how to balance it, that the staticity can become sentient. Mutative does its job. It will go both ways. It's a democracy in our body. If the sentient principle is active, then the mutative principle will follow it. If the static is active, it will go towards it. Like for example, in our body, if the first two chakras are predominant, Manipur chakra will follow it. Mutative will follow it. If Anahad and Vishuddha are active, then it will follow them. Now the question is, how can we keep all these two upper chakras active so that Manipura will follow it? And when there is this democratic kind of process in our body, the first lower chakras cannot really remain. They will also do whatever our sentient chakras will do. And therefore, what happens is the knowable and the action, at the same time, the pranas will be the sustainer of it. The pranas will sustain our knowable. Knowable is Parampurusha. Pranas will sustain it, and the action, that means Gyan and action, will be sustained by in such a way that our efforts will be how to what you call transform, how to burn, how to deal with the samskaras that may have. It may be positive, it may be negative, but the greater the control, Baba says, we have on our pranas, the vital principles, the stronger will be the power of acceptance and rejection of the samskaras. It may be a negative, but I think we can really transform them into something positive. Like, for example, there is a story, if you have not heard it, this the story of a big devil and a small devil. The big devil is want to do bad for everybody. He wants to change good people into bad people, and he had a devil, small devil, who used to do his work. So one day a farmer was kind of tilling the land and was so tired and so tired, and then at around 12 or 1 o'clock, he left his bulls and the work, and then came under the tree, and there he had left his food so that he can have his lunch. And here the plan of the big devil and the small devil was to steal that. Now, if you steal it, that this person will definitely react. So they want him to react. And the small devil, what do you call it, steals and is hiding behind a bush. And then the farmer comes and sees, my goodness, there is no food. And he says, oh my goodness, today somebody was more hungry than I am, more hungry than me. So good, Lord, that you have done this service, even unknowingly through that somebody can have it more. And now this small devil behind, and there were no, then when he goes to the big devil, he says, what? Well, he said like this, oh my goodness, we failed to turn him evil. Now that's how it is. So there are this evil samskara, there are all evil forces around, but even in those situations, we maintain that calmness of mind. Maybe somebody else needs better than I do. Not that I need it. This possessiveness is a negative, but I think we should be generous in life. And the generosity is when we do not become selfish. And Baba says that the greatest problem of humanity today and is that people are self-centered, and capitalism is imperialism is a product of self-centeredness. So we have to go beyond the self-centeredness and become universalistic, and that is what Baba wants us to do. Even in that situation, I'm very hungry and my food is being stolen. Whoever taken it, I say, my goodness, thank God somebody else. Now that is, it's not that it's not a self-destructive attitude. It's really this is the kind of people. And once people have that, this is Buddha's principle that, why should I be disturbed by your abuses or language or whatever? You keep it up to you. I just don't accept it. Now, that is here, Baba is saying that the power, we have to generate this power. The greater control we have on this prana, that we have this 10 vayus within ourselves, and the vivek is. So, even if there are situations we can reject or accept, but the best way is to understand, to really feel that whatever happens, it's okay. I can deal with it. Now, the moment I do not obsess with that situation, I have a possibility to deal with it. Now, that is our problem. And this whole topic is on the basis of how can we make us extraordinarily efficient, extraordinarily competent, that no matter what situations we have around us, we still maintain our calm. And that is our greatness. That's why we are missionaries. And that's why we are brahmacharis. That's why we are avadhutas. I think they can't be deterred by any situation. And I think this needs to be transmitted to the margis at the same time. So, according to Baba, it's very important that this receptive power of pranas find a greater scope of expression, and it finds a greater scope of expression only when our mind is calm. And to keep our mind calm, we have to have this ideational faculty. And Baba says that ideational faculty is uh, when our entire existence supports the idea that I have. That is called ideation. The ideational faculty is when the idea that I have, predominant idea, and then the entire existence of mind, which is the vital energy that we have, the hormones that we have, all that, the entire existence is moving towards that idea, the object of ideation. That is ideation. So when that happens, everything will flow into that. There can't be an ideation towards anything physical. Ideation is always positive and towards the goal divine. And therefore, when we have that kind of proper control over our pranas, our mind remains calm, and then all, including our organs and thoughts, will move towards the goal divine. And Baba said, the restless mind uh, cannot do anything. And we become restless when we are obsessed. So the more we remain calm and quiet, and that is a practice we have to do. And therefore, I think it's important that our mind remains in deep pause. So everywhere there is, the whole life is systematic. It is pause and speed. When you do like this, there is a pause, lower pause, and there is an upper pause. And they are different pauses. So this is a topic that needs to be discussed when we discuss the what you call the law of social dynamics. These pauses are very much essential to understand the law of social dynamics. That how does it happen? Hello, what happened?
No, nothing.
You are okay, Dada.
Everything's fine there. Please go ahead.
You can see my internet disappeared. I
But
don't see
we are
internet.
listening to you.
You are listening to me.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, you
Go
are.
ahead, Dada. Go ahead,
What
because we
happened?
are recording.
Just hold on for a second. Now I got it. No, it disappeared somewhere, my computer. Anyways, so here the point is the more control we have, we need more pause. And the longer is the pause in a systolic movement, the more is the ability of acceptance. Any sensation or an idea, we can, even if it is negative, the pause has to be longer, and that is our practices. And these practices are all within this, factors that Baba speaks. Baba is talking about our effort should be that we can maintain this longer pause. The longer remain the pause, the mind is calm, and we can take any decision, we can do anything whatsoever. And therefore, this pause of the period of pause must be increased. And the more, and that can only happen in sadhana, it doesn't happen, but it also has to happen in our normal life, because when mind everything is balanced, people don't react. And that's why these two expressions that Baba mentions, one is we react to or we respond to. In most cases we react to anything, and this reaction may be a solution, but it's so temporary, or generally it is not it's not a solution. But response, we can only give response when we really understand it. And we need to respond to any situation. And that has been, Baba said that this, because Ananda Marga, the whole practice is, the philosophy of Ananda Marga is to see what the society, what the human beings need, not what the circumstantially they are thinking and doing. That is not natural. The natural is that they have to move towards Param Purusha. Otherwise, anything, you can justify it, you can rationalize it, but this is not the reality of life. But we say, my goodness, that's the way it is. What can I do? I feel like this, I see like this, I can't. But question is not that if I can't, I can also. So this is a combination that Baba is asking, telling us that we have to have this clear, and we can achieve it according to him. To control our pranas, we can achieve it by through pranayam and dharana. That is fifth lesson at pranayam. Now I think, and Baba says it very clearly, that we have to do pranayam in so attentively, so what should I call, carefully, that during that pranayam time, when you breathe in, that's okay. When you breathe out, and there is a small gap, they breathe out and then there is another one, it always happens, it's a death. That for that moment of time, we are dead. So we die every moment that we breathe out. If it doesn't come in, we are dead. So here, I think pranayam is so important that period which is there, it should be properly, connected. It's a kind of now these brains that neurons have these synapses, so they connect. There is always a gap. Nothing is linear. Everything is in phases. But this phase is so small, and it immediately connects it. So that snaps. So it's important that when we do this pranayam, and if there is any negative thought, any thought that is not harmonious, that will be a disastrous. This whole force of mind, the concentration will go completely out. And that what actually happens when people are very angry, or it happens only because the pranayam. So Baba says the we should have proper control over pranayam, and it should expand the pause, maximize the pause, and the power of concentration and receptivity. And it's a duty of, it's a job of pranayam, because the vital expansion through pranayam, a sadhaka becomes very much, it's a pulsative, but it's a long. And I think then is it maintains that internal balance. Whereas dharana is concerned, in sadhana, this introspective concentration is dharana. The what we do in fifth lesson, as you know, or even third lesson, it's an introspective concentration. And the proper understanding of it is that when our chitta is fixed on whatever we are thinking at that time. And you know that generally what happens is that the chitta is kind of, it does what it has formed itself in. And we have to be very careful that chitta does not take a wrong form, and it should, and that is the duty of dharana and pranayam. Pranayam is to maintain the speed, and the duty of dharana is to maintain that stability, so that the chitta does not get a wrong or improper or a wrong object of ideation. Now that means every thought is synchronized in a way, even if it is, but it does not. So the manifestative phase that we have, it should diminish. So whenever people ponder on, they have this, generally what happens to us when we have this rapt attention, we can't listen, we can't see anybody. So the mind is, when it is concentrated so much, it has a rapt attention towards something. At that time, even if there is a negativity around, it won't influence me. I won't even see it. The eyes don't see it, the ear won't hear it, the body, the hands won't touch it. Even if we touch, we won't even feel that. So dharana can bring us that ideative phase, this it's called bhava vibhor stage, that we are completely lost in ideative state of mind. So this ideational state of mind, so the movement of our vital energy towards that supreme, it will be prolonged. I think whenever any action is prolonged, that is very productive in the second phase. And if it is short, then it is very destructive in the second phase. So what we do in our life is not what it is now, but it is for the next. So the prolonged duration of any state of mind that we have, body and all that we have, the more the next one is going to be very, very productive phase. So Baba says that we have to be very careful that our cosmic ideation predominates our life. Our prana, they predominate our life, they influence our life, and our pranayam should be so properly done that it does not lead to any devastation or any destructive kind of thing. We may not, but Baba, but still at the same time, we should not develop this fear, because Baba is controlling. But at the same time, we also have some responsibilities what we do. He has told us, but he will take care of it at the very end. But in the long run, we may have to suffer, so that we do not unnecessarily become victim of our own destructive ideation. It's not we can justify anything, but there is no question of justification. Baba said at one time, if I remember, that when we go for justification means we are wrong. Why do I have to justify? I don't have to justify for anything. So that is our practical thing. So justification it's not needed, because what I'm doing right. And how can I be sure of that I'm doing right? That kind of awareness happens when there is a Brahma Bhav, Baba says. When there is a Brahma Bhav, and then pranayam and dharana and jama niyamas, asanas, and all that, when I mentioned before, they are in synchronicity, then what happens that our actions can never be harmful towards anybody. And I think I have taken more of your time. Uh, should I? This I still have a lot to say, but what do you say? What is the time now? It is 2:30 now. 10:30.
For me, it is okay. I don't know the rest.
So let me just conclude it here in a way. So Baba gives us this clear mandate. He makes us aware. He says that our concentration, the pranayam induced concentration, should be guided by cosmic ideation, and that will turn into this zeal to practice it more and more. And when Brahma Bhav or the cosmic ideation is prevalent, then what happens is that anything that we do is regulated, disciplined. Now, discipline is not imposed, discipline is earned. It has to come out by itself. But when everything flows, you see this, when there is a discipline, there is harmony all the same time. many of you know, if you understand this helicopter. Now, helicopter has these two propellers. One is that bigger one, another is that smaller one on the back. As long as they run in synchronicity, they run in a way they do not intermingle with each other. And the more they do it, the more there is a speed. Now, similarly, our inner self should be so much synchronized with that it moves in a way it do not intermingle, and therefore more they remain in synchronicity, the more there is going to be speed internal, and then also has its impact on the external world at the same time. And therefore Baba says that this any action that we do, it has a result. So karma phala, or the action and the reaction of an action, or samskara or karma phala, or the result of an action, and Brahma bhav. He says that the more we have this tranquility, the pause, the more we burn the samskaras, more we exhaust them, and the more we can burn these samskaras, and that is what Baba says, that it leads us to become Dagda Bij, that every action that we do, it's on the other hand, it's a combination of Ishta mantra and Guru mantra. When these other lessons function properly, Ishta mantra and Guru mantra, as I understand, they depend very much on whether how practically we do them, and how conversant we are with them, and how habitual we are with them. It depends on pranayam and dharana. And this pranayam and dharana can maintain this first and second lesson. Sixth lesson has there is no way that it won't work. It is just going to work. So we have to be very careful that this pranaha, the prana, Baba says everywhere, the life, if there is this bala that you say, when there is the interior and exterior forces fight, the work, and then within this friction, there is a nucleus, and with the nucleus, there is a prana, there is a bala, they call it. And if that bala does not create it, there is no life. So similarly, I think here when we do pranayam and dharana properly, and if first and second lesson have to function properly in our life, and to lead towards dhyan, then naturally it's important that we do more, give more attention to the lessons as well, and then we are able to burn the seed. And then Baba said that it would definitely lead to dhyan, and the dhyan will lead to samadhi, and then all our vrittis, even if they are there, we can't live without them. They will be channeled. They will be channelized towards the Param Purusha, our everything that our ectoplasmic stuff is. When you see dreams, most of our dreams are very much dominated by our ectoplasmic stuff, because whatever ectoplasmic stuff has taken form of, whether silent actions or thoughts or an action, whatever it has taken form of, this is going to come in our dream. Sometimes that people see when there is a external imposition, and due to that external imposition, there is a concentration of mind, and the mind sees a goddess appears before me, and now goddess is telling me what is the medicine and what is the right course to take. But that goddess is nothing. It is because what the color of our ectoplasm. So how our ectoplasm has been habituated, whatever we think, even silently we think that a thought cannot at all, it is not expressed, but it is in the mind, but ectoplasmic stuff has taken form of. So you can imagine how careful one has to be what we think, and our thinking should be right. That means the conscience should be so predominant that every single thought remains positive, productive. It's just not even by mistake think of anything that is not helping me in moving towards Param Purusha. And therefore, Baba says that this thing, when the vrittis are automatically channeled towards Param Purusha through this sadhana, and by this what you call it, the balance, the harmony, then he says that we achieve prem, or devotion. That means the passion is egocentric generally, and when it is inclined towards Parampurusha, it is love divine. When it is, as you know, that when it is inclined towards anything otherwise, then it is an attachment. There may be a self gratification, but it is not a bliss incarnate. But we have to see that we live a life as a bliss incarnate. So, in order to do that, I think all that what I said, and our goal is to achieve Parma Pada, which can only be achieved by devotion and love. Love and devotion is a result of harmony between, and the longer pause and harmony, where our conscience, mind, organs, and the entire existence is only moving towards Parampurusha, and that leads to Nibritti, which means Paramartha, which means spiritual liberation. And therefore, our life should, it's not, he says that we live in this world, but it is not our philosophical thing, it's practical thing. Therefore, one must bear in mind that our entire sadhana depends on the internal purification. And when there is internal purification, whenever any negative thought, any ill thought for anybody comes, because everything is Baba. So now, as you remember that we have discussed it quite a few times, that when we want to do something, I want to slap somebody, and then I have to take second lesson. Can anybody slap anybody after taking second lesson? Impossible. Impossible. Because that second lesson is ideation of Parampurusha. That person in front of me, can I abuse that person? Can I do any wrong to that person? Can I misbehave with that person in any way, forever, whatever reason that is, if I have applied second lesson, and that is ideation of Parampurusha. But the fact is that are we able to apply it? In order to apply that, we need a stable mind. We need a very in a harmonious state of mind, otherwise it won't happen, and therefore we may deviate from, and then it might be a waste of time, Baba says. So our duty is that we maintain this internal purification, internal purity. And internal purity very much is our thought priority. When our thoughts are, because every single thought that we take, you all know it, that when there is a thought in our mind, and it does not, it leaves an imprint in our cells. There is no thought that does not leave, or no idea that does not leave any imprint. Otherwise, you can't recall it. You can't even know it next time. You know it next time because there is a photocopy somewhere, and we get that photocopy back again. So it is the same kind of a thing. No thought goes what you call unnoticed. It leaves a print behind, and anybody can know what it is. And therefore, I think the more imprints that we leave in our existence, in our nerve cells and nerve fibers and all our glandular system, whatever that is, if that only speaks of Parampurusha. When we meditate, every cell of our body says Bhavanam Kevalam, nothing else and nothing else, only Parampurusha. So I think that is the purpose. That is the way how we should live. And this entire discourse of Baba is telling us how should we go about it, so that we can utilize our time properly, our intelligence functions properly. Every respiration is not wasted, and every respiration, our longevity should increase, not diminish. So our longevity depends on how long we live. Whether we die today or after 10 years, it doesn't really matter as long as we are. So the clarion call here, Baba says that the he's telling it to the general people, that you look for acharyas, the right teacher, who can teach you intuitional science, Brahma Vigyan, and who can lead you to, and then help you to follow the path of sadhana, so that you can one day, in the short future, in the near future, can become, because the time is not a factor. Anything can, even 100 years can become 1 second. Parampurusha, and you remember that story that Baba had once mentioned, the Keshwananji had mentioned the story. He said that Baba told a story at one time, or somebody asked Baba that a story was, "Hey Param Purusha, how much is $1 of yours? How much does it for me? Your $1 for me." He says, "Well, it is trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars." And he says, "How about 1 second for you is for me?" He says, "Also, it is also trillions and trillions of years." Then he said, "Could you please give me $1?" And Parapura said, "Please wait for a minute. Wait a minute." So I think that is the way it is. His million, our millions of years is 1 second. It is all concentrated in, there is no time factor. So what Baba is telling us that samadhi is a state where there is no time factor. Time factor doesn't exist. You just enter in there and time factor is gone. There is no time. You are beyond time, space, and person. He says that when you move through sadhana with your implicit faith and shraddha, sincerity and reverence, nishtha and sincerity towards Parampurusha, your will force will become like universal dynamite, nuclear power. That will force will be so powerful, anything you can achieve. So that is what this chariot and charioteer is. I try to sum it up. It is a very long topic, and thank you very much for your attention.
Dadaji,
Namaskar. Yes, please.
you cannot go. I have a question. I have a question. Can you define Paramapada?
Well, Didi, it is, I can't explain it now. Paramapada is the place in our Sahasrara chakra where the seat of Parampurusha is called Paramapada.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a seat in
It
our.
is not the same like Paramashiva?
No, it is beyond Paramashiva. It's Paramapada.
Okay. So Paramapurusha is in Paramapada.
Paramapada, yes. The
It's the
Paramapada is our
supreme
goal.
state,
Yes.
the supreme stance.
Supreme stance. That point is Paramapada.
Okay. Thank you, Dada.
Thank you. Sorry for a long time, but I think
It was very good.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
thank you, all of you. I think I don't know if we have time for another topics, but but you better read it. I try to pick it in a way that we could properly deal with it in a short span of time. It's the longest topic, discourse of Baba, but it's very interesting.
You only centered tonight about the first topic, no?
Yeah. It was
Okay.
because the second one will take another time. The another one is also this law of social dynamics is very interesting as well. Why Baba gave this topic? He wants, he's kind of making an effort. It's a new theory where he's linking spirituality with everything, non-material, everything based on everything that we have. This without spirituality, and that is Baba's concept. That's a law of social dynamics when it is what we talked about it. If it gets into social fabric. Anyway, I think it's getting late. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Dadaji.
But I don't hear
Thank you.
anybody say anything.
Namaskar. Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, Dada.
Thank you so much.
Namaskar, Dada. Thank you.
Namaskar.
नमस्कार दादाजी नमस्कार नमस्कार
Namaskar.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much. Good night.
Namaskar,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Namaskar. Good night, everybody.
See you
Sweet.
See you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.